Hi everybody, this is Aphistis, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to successfully take down Malygos 10-man as a hunter in World of Warcraft. So we're standing here in the Eye of Eternity. You can see that in order to start this encounter, this focusing iris, I think it's called, but whatever it is, you want to interact with it, and Malygos is then going to stop flying around shouting at you like he's going to be doing prior to that, and he will come down to the platform and he will begin the fight. The way you want to do this is you're going to want to start from the very beginning by misdirecting Malygos onto your turtle or whatever tank pet that you're using, so that he can be faced away from you, so that the main attack that he uses during this part is this frontal cone purple breath that you can see, arcane breath. There it goes again. Your pet is going to be able to take that, particularly with you paying close attention and throwing out mend pet when necessary. But it's not something that you want to be taking yourself if you can avoid it, and it is relatively easy to avoid just by misdirecting appropriately onto your pet and then running to the side to flank the boss. The other reason that you want to not be in front of the boss is that when the power sparks that spawn from the edges, as you can see here, when those start coming to the platform, they're going to be coming most likely from the side or from the back. They are chosen, I believe, at random what direction they're going to come from. But if you are positioned to his back, to his rear, then you're going to be able to have a better shot at reaching them in order to kill them and create these buff zones that you can see on the ground there without having to contend with any extra damage, because as hunters our self-healing is fairly limited. So these these power sparks that come out, they are going to be gravitating toward Malygos, and if they reach him, they're going to give him a damage buff. But the nice thing about them is that they can be intercepted, and if you can kill them before they reach him, then the buff zone that they create on the ground then benefits you, and you can stand in it, and you will get a 50% damage increase to Malygos. The catch as a hunter is that you do have to catch them while they're still at least 8 yards away from them, and particularly if you're standing towards the edge of the platform, it can be a little tricky to get them down while they're on the platform so you can access them, but far enough away that you're going to be able to then use your ranged attacks. So the other significant thing that's going on during phase 1 here, you've seen it a couple times now, and there should be at least one more, is this vortex that he does. And what happens then is he's going to throw you up in the air, and you're going to be basically immobilized. You will still be able to attack, but you want to make sure that you are ready to respond to this, because what's going to happen is he's going to go up in the air. You'll see it here, and if you notice, your pet will despawn when you get thrown up in the air to do this vortex. So the thing you need to do is, for one, continue DPSing here, because the enrage timer is 10 minutes and it's going to be fairly tight no matter how you cut it. But when the vortex ends, you need to be ready to respawn your pet right away. And as you may be aware, when your pets first spawn, when you first summon your pet, they are in fact very low health, and if the boss attacks them, it's going to very likely one-shot them, and that's going to stand a good chance of ruining the entire encounter for you. So you need to be ready to resummon your pet, and do not feign death immediately. You want to get away from the boss and kind of kite him away from the boss, from your pet rather, for a few seconds, so that your pet's health can rebuff. Moving on to phase 2 here, this is going to start when you get to 50% boss health. So after 3 or 4 of those vortexes, you should be here into phase 2. The way this works is he's going to float up off the platform. He will still be attackable. You want to make sure that you're doing as much DPS as you can during his little role play that he carries out during that part, because any damage you do now is going to be damage you don't have to do at the end, when things can be a little bit tricky. Once he has flown off the platform, you're going to see he summons these adds. Some of them are on the ground, some of them are in the air, and you're going to want to make sure that you get them down as quickly as you can. Phase 2 is this part right here, and it's going to last as long or as briefly as it takes you to kill all these adds. in a group, excuse me, you will be wanting to get on these platforms that the ads are on and fly around to kill some of them. As a hunter, it's not necessary. We have 40 yards of ranged awesomeness, so it's perfectly okay to just stand on the ground. It's more efficient and more quick, and it also lets you stand inside these purple buff zones, or protective zones that the boss creates on the ground. You need those to help mitigate some of the damage that you're taking from the boss's attacks. This surge of power that he's using, I can't remember if that's actually the name of it in this phase, but the big purple attack that he's using, that can still sting if you are just standing out unprotected for too long of a time. So the purple zones that are created here that you want to stand in, if you notice, they do in fact shrink over time, so you're going to want to be ready to move back and forth between them as he creates new ones. Once the ads are down, you're going to go into phase 3 here, and this is what I would consider the trickiest part of the fight. In order to do this, there's a fairly specific ability rotation on this Drake that you're going to need to use. It allows for a sustainable balance of self-healing and damage to the boss. So you can see that phase 3 here is going to be this vehicle phase. This part is going to take a good 3 minutes no matter how you do it. If you are like me, and in this particular kill, I ended up screwing up and was not paying close enough attention. There's a dot stack that you're going to, a stacking dot ability that you're going to apply to Malygos that you need to make sure you don't let fall off, because if that happens, there's a good chance that you're going to end up being screwed and wipe the encounter. Once you're in this phase, you're not going to be able to just reset the fight like you would be able to in phase 1 or 2 if things start to go off the rails a little bit. If you don't kill him in this third phase, then it's a wipe and you have to run back and rebuff and waste time, repair bills, all that stuff. So if you're not going to get to this third phase with at least a good 3 minutes left, you want to seriously think about just resetting the encounter. Anyway, once you're in this third phase, the rotation that you're going to want to do is going to be, the default keybinds are going to be, it's 1, 1, 2, 3. The way that it works is the number 3 ability is a heal over time that it can stack up to 5 times on you, and you're going to need to keep that up on your Drake all the time, because there's obviously nobody else for Malygos to attack here. So that needs to be maintained, and ability number 2 is the main damage dealer here. That is the stacking damage over time ability that I mentioned earlier. And the way it works is the duration of the dot is going to be determined by how many times you use ability number 1. So in order to have a sufficiently enduring dot stack that you can refresh and add to the stacks before they fall off, you need to have 2 times of using ability number 1. Then use number 2 when it comes up. You can see the Drake's energy bar off to the right side there. That's going to be the main limiting factor in how frequently you can use your abilities. But each time you go through that cycle, the 1, 1, 2, 3, that's going to give you a 10-second dot stack on the boss, and it's going to renew your heals, and it's going to give you enough energy for your Drake that you're going to be able to sustain this. The boss's abilities that he uses during this phase are this surge of power, which as long as you are paying attention to everything else, you can really just ignore that. Your heal over time stacks will pretty much take care of that for you. The other ability, though, this static field, is right there. You can see it as that purple cloud, that purple electrical cloud. That's bad news, and you're not going to be able to heal through that. So you need to make sure that you're, throughout this phase, strafing constantly around Malygos, just kind of moving around him in a circle, so that you are going to be able to stay in range and make sure that you are not taking the damage from that static field. You can see that I'm really doing a pretty poor job in this fight of avoiding that, but once you've got the hang of the rotation, you should be able to complete the kill without too much trouble, and at that point you can collect your loot and get back on with your life. So good luck, happy hunting, and once again, this has been Aphistis walking you through 10-man Malygos normal.